And I think that you deserve this.
Oh my gosh.
On a night that left both the judges and the audience stunned, history was made on the America's Got Talent stage. After nearly 2 decades away, Jessica Sanchez, the same young girl who once auditioned at just 10 years old, returned in 2025 with a voice more powerful, seasoned, and emotionally charged than ever before. But this wasn't just another performance. This was a moment of redemption, of transformation, and of coming full circle. The 29-year-old artist took the stage with Benson Boone's Beautiful Things, delivering a performance that carried not only flawless technique, but also the weight of her journey, her struggles, and her rebirth as a true artist. When Sofia Vergara slammed the golden buzzer, the room erupted in thunderous applause, showering Jessica in gold confetti as she stood in tears. For many watching, it wasn't simply about a song. It was about witnessing a young prodigy return as a woman who had fought through the unforgiving music industry, navigated personal trials, and emerged stronger. Rarely do reality show contestants return decades later, and even more rarely do they manage to eclipse their younger selves. But Jessica Sanchez did exactly that, turning her comeback into one of the most talked about moments of the season. And yet, the performance was only the beginning. The question remained, what happened in those 20 years that shaped the woman behind this unforgettable voice? Long before she became a household name, Jessica Sanchez's story began in Chula Vista, California, where she was born on August 4th, 1995. The daughter of a Filipina mother, Adida, and a Mexican-American father, Gilbert, Jessica grew up at the crossroads of 2 vibrant cultures that deeply influenced her sense of self and her music. Yet, behind the bright lights and powerhouse Voice the World would later see, Jessica's earliest years were marked by shyness. She often described herself as painfully quiet, so reserved that she could barely look people in the eye. In interviews, she admitted to struggling with social confidence, a trait that left some to misinterpret her silence as aloofness. But those who knew her understood it was the opposite. She was a soft-spoken child carrying a voice far bigger than her presence suggested. Being raised in a multicultural household also meant navigating questions of identity and belonging from a young age. As the eldest of 3 siblings, she learned resilience early, especially with a father serving in the Navy Reserves and a mother who balanced the household. For Jessica, music wasn't just an escape. It was the language she used to express what words couldn't. By the time she was 5, her voice was already commanding attention at local events, a gift that hinted at the greatness to come. This quiet, shy girl would soon find herself thrust onto one of the biggest stages in America, where the world would catch its first glimpse of her extraordinary talent. In 2006, Jessica Sanchez stepped onto the stage of a brand new show that would go on to become a global phenomenon, America's Got Talent. At just 10 years old, she was small in stature, but carried a voice that immediately silenced the crowd. Performing Celine Dion's I Surrender, Jessica stunned the judges with a vocal power and emotional depth far beyond her years. The performance was a revelation. Here was a child who sang with the poise of a seasoned artist, delivering every note with precision and conviction. While she didn't advance past the wildcard round, her audition left a lasting impression, marking her as one of the most memorable young contestants of the season. For many, it felt like only a matter of time before Jessica's name would resurface in the music world. That first AGT performance wasn't just a talent show audition. It was a glimpse of the raw, unpolished brilliance that would later captivate millions. Even in defeat, Jessica proved she had something special, a spark that couldn't be ignored. The elimination may have been a setback, but it was also the beginning of a journey that would shape her into an artist who refused to give up, no matter how many obstacles stood in her way. 6 years after her first taste of the spotlight, Jessica Sanchez made a triumphant return to national television, this time on one of the most watched shows in the world, American Idol. In 2012, as a 16-year-old contestant on season 11, Jessica quickly separated herself from the pack with a voice that seemed impossibly mature for her age. Week after week, she delivered powerhouse ballads that left audiences and judges stunned. with her rendition of Whitney Houston's "I Will Always Love You," becoming a viral sensation and a career-defining moment. But her journey wasn't without drama. During the top 11 round, Jessica faced a shocking elimination that had fans outraged. In an unprecedented move, the judges used their one and only save of the season to keep her in the competition, making her the first female contestant in Idol history to receive such a lifeline. That moment shifted everything, transforming Jessica from a contestant into a national headline. She went from underdog to frontrunner overnight, with many now calling her the one to beat. Though she ultimately finished as the runner-up to Philip Phillips, Jessica's performances became benchmarks for Idol contestants who came after her. Her ability to tackle the most demanding songs with poise and passion redefined what was expected from teenage singers on the show. By the time the finale aired, Jessica wasn't just a finalist. She was a phenomenon, a name etched into Idol history, and a voice that millions believed was destined for superstardom. Coming off her American Idol success, Jessica Sanchez was expected to skyrocket into superstardom. Fans eagerly awaited her debut, and the industry positioned her as the next great pop powerhouse. In 2013, she released her first studio album, Me, You, and the Music, featuring high-profile collaborations like Tonight with Neo. The album debuted respectably on the Billboard 200, peaking at number 26, but behind the scenes, cracks were already showing. Critics gave the project lukewarm reviews, sales underperformed expectations, and label executives began to lose confidence in her commercial viability. Soon after, Jessica parted ways with Interscope/19 Entertainment, leaving her without the industry machine that had once promised her fame. This was more than a professional setback, it was a personal reckoning. Jessica found herself caught in the push and pull between artistry and marketability, pressured to fit into an image that didn't feel authentic to her. Despite appearances on shows like Glee and performances at national events, including the White House Easter egg roll, she began to feel creatively suffocated. For the first time since childhood, music, her safe haven, felt more like a burden than a joy. The girl who had once sung with fearless authenticity now wrestled with the weight of an industry that valued formulas over individuality. This chapter in her life marked the beginning of an identity crisis. Was Jessica destined to be a packaged product for the charts, or could she carve out a space as an artist on her own terms? That question would define the next stage of her career. After stepping away from the major label system, Jessica Sanchez entered a period of recalibration that would last nearly a decade. From 2014 to 2022, her musical output slowed, but her evolution as an artist deepened. Instead of chasing chart placements or mainstream approval, Jessica began releasing independent singles that spoke to her truth, songs rooted in empowerment, heartbreak, and cultural identity. Among them was Us, a powerful 2021 collaboration with APL that did an AP of the Black Eyed Peas and a spoken word cameo from Mark Cuban. The track doubled as an anthem of representation and unity, showing Jessica's determination to create music with social weight. A year later, she followed with Batty, a self-assured, unapologetic declaration of independence that signaled her shift toward writing more of her own material. Behind the music, Jessica was also undergoing a spiritual and artistic reset. She openly addressed the frustrations of being boxed in by industry expectations, particularly as a Filipino-Mexican artist who never quite fit the mold of mainstream pop. Instead of hiding from her heritage, she began embracing it, weaving her cultural identity more deeply into her artistry. Away from the constant spotlight, Jessica reconnected with the reasons she first fell in love with music: faith, authenticity, and storytelling. In interviews, she revealed how being raised by her hardworking single mother had instilled strength, but also an urgency to succeed quickly. This period of self-discovery allowed Jessica to slow down, breathe, and redefine success on her own terms. Though these years didn't produce headline-making hits, they gave her something far more valuable: a renewed voice, a stronger sense of self, and a clear vision of the kind of artist she wanted to become. In July 2025, Jessica Sanchez shocked the entertainment world by returning to the very stage where her journey first began, America's Got Talent. Now 29 years old, she walked out not as the shy 10-year-old prodigy the world remembered, but as a seasoned artist carrying 2 decades of life, struggle, and growth in her voice. Her song choice, Benson Boone's Beautiful Things, was as symbolic as it was stunning, a ballad about finding light in the midst of chaos. From the very first note, the audience sensed something extraordinary. Gone was the pressure to prove herself. Instead, Jessica sang with raw honesty, her vocals soaring with emotion yet grounded in maturity. By the time she finished, the crowd was on its feet, and Judge Sofia Vergara, moved to tears, slammed the golden buzzer. As gold confetti rained down, Jessica stood on stage overcome, visibly emotional as the audience roared. It wasn't just a performance, it was a reclamation. Exactly 20 years after her AGT debut, she had come full circle, transforming her narrative from child prodigy to authentic artist. Online, the response was immediate and overwhelming. Fans called it a homecoming, praising her for embodying courage, perseverance, and growth. For longtime supporters, the Golden Buzzer wasn't just about vocal excellence. It was about witnessing an artist who had endured the industry's highs and lows finally reclaim her voice, her story, and her place in music. While Jessica's Golden Buzzer moment captured headlines, it was her personal revelations that truly surprised fans and made her comeback feel even more profound. During her 2025 AGT return, Jessica shared that she had been quietly married since 2021 to Ricky Giardo, a lighting technician and producer she first met backstage at an event in 2017. Their love story was as humble as it was heartfelt. Ricky once messaged her boldly, saying he would marry her one day, a promise that eventually came true. The couple tied the knot in Texas in a small, spontaneous ceremony, wearing Walmart rings and a simple dress, a sharp contrast to the glittering world of celebrity. But the biggest news came when Jessica revealed that she and Ricky were expecting their first child. In July 2025, she announced they were 5 months along and would soon welcome a daughter they planned to name Eliana. Fans were given a glimpse into her joy through a series of maternity photos on Instagram, where Jessica captioned, "Our hearts are so full. It's been so hard keeping it quiet these past 5 months." Ricky followed with his own tribute, calling Jessica a force of nature and praising the balance she carried between motherhood and music. For many longtime supporters, these revelations humanized her in a way that no performance ever could. Beyond the lights, beyond the fame, Jessica was building a life rooted in love, family, and faith. Her bond with her mother, Adida, remained just as strong, with Jessica crediting her as the driving force behind her resilience. This chapter showed that Jessica's evolution wasn't just artistic, it was deeply personal, proof that her strength extended far beyond the stage. Looking ahead, Jessica Sanchez has made it clear that her next chapter will not be defined by industry pressure, but by authenticity. In interviews following her 2025 AGT return, she spoke openly about her vision for the future. Music that reflects her truth as a woman, an artist, and now a mother. Gone are the days of chasing radio-friendly formulas or trying to fit into the rigid expectations of mainstream pop. Instead, Jessica is crafting what she calls her second debut, a body of work shaped by her heritage, her faith, and her new role as a parent. She has hinted at an upcoming project that blends soul, R&B, and acoustic influences with lyrics rooted in real experiences. Songs that carry the weight of motherhood, resilience, and spiritual renewal. For her, it's not about rushing back to the charts, but about creating music on her own terms, at her own pace. Live performances and digital content are expected, but carefully balanced with family life. Fans, many of whom have followed her since her Idol days, see this as the most exciting phase yet, a Jessica untethered from the corporate machinery, finally free to tell her own story without compromise. With social media amplifying her reach and the AGT Golden Buzzer moment reigniting public interest, the stage is set for a powerful new era. For Jessica, the goal is no longer just fame, it's legacy, impact, and the kind of artistry that endures. Jessica Sanchez's journey is no longer just the story of a girl with a remarkable voice. It is the story of a woman who refused to let the industry or circumstance dictate her destiny. From a shy child in Chula Vista to a 10-year-old prodigy on America's Got Talent. From a teenage powerhouse on American Idol to a young artist struggling under the weight of major label expectations. Jessica has lived every extreme of the entertainment world. Yet instead of being broken by the system, she used those years to rediscover who she truly was. Her return to AGT in 2025 wasn't simply about proving her vocal talent. It was about reclaiming her narrative, showing the world that she had grown, evolved, and found strength in her cultural roots, her faith, and her family. By stepping onto that stage 2 decades later, she transformed a talent show audition into a statement of resilience, authenticity, and rebirth. Today, Jessica Sanchez stands as a blueprint for artists everywhere. Proof that success isn't about chasing formulas or pleasing executives, but about creating with honesty and courage. She is more than just a voice. She is a vision, a reminder that the greatest performances come not from perfection, but from truth. And as she enters this new era of music, motherhood, and meaning, one thing is certain. Jessica Sanchez is no longer chasing her story. She is writing it.